Lawmakers are considering a bill to address what President Trump called a top priority in his State of the Union speech, lowering prescription drug prices. The proposed CREATES Act would target what critics call are legal but questionable tactics that drug companies use to delay the introduction of cheaper generic medications. The FDA commissioner has called the tactics, quote, shenanigans and, quote, unfair and exploitative practices. Anna Werner has been looking into this. Anna, good morning. What have you found?
Well, good morning, John. Well, this is a situation where critics say that some drug companies who want to hold on to their exclusive sales of a brand name drug and their profits are playing games to stave off generic competitors, leaving patients out in the cold. So that's it.
That's it.
It's the drug that's keeping Pam Holt alive, keeping her multiple myeloma, blood cancer, at bay. It's called Revlimid, and her copay runs $640 a month.
I don't know how anyone can afford that. I really don't.
But Holt can't get a generic, not because other companies aren't trying to make one, but because critics say Revlimid is one of a number of drugs for which companies are using unfair tactics to stifle generic competition.
This does not help consumers. They're paying more money than they should be paying.
Rutgers law professor Michael Carrier studies what he calls the games drug companies play to protect their profits.
Those games take many forms. In one form, a brand company will pay a generic to delay entering the market. In another form, it will switch from one version of a drug to another, just trivially different, just to keep generics off the market. They call it life cycle management. I call it anti-competitive conduct.
Often, he says, the games involve patents, the government protection that gives companies the exclusive right to sell their drug for 20 years. But drug makers have found ways to extend those protections much longer. Take the rheumatoid arthritis drug Humira.
Talk to your rheumatologist about Humira.
That one drug last year generated $18 billion for manufacturer AbbVie. But its original patent was expiring in 2016. So to protect it, Carrier says AbbVie built what's called a patent thicket of more than 100 additional patents.
It uses that patent thicket to keep any other biosimilar off the market. And when there are so many patents on any particular drug, it's easy to find some where you can claim infringement.
Another tactic, he says, is product hopping, where a company will make minor changes to their drug, like switching from a capsule to a tablet or changing the dosage.
Every time there's a change like this, the generic has to go back to the drawing board, has to redesign the product, get FDA approval. It can't be substituted at the pharmacy counter because it's a little bit different, and so that's what product hopping is all about.
And Pam Holt's drug Revlimid? It's in a special group of high-risk drugs. To make a generic version, a competitor has to be able to get samples from original manufacturer Celgene. But generics manufacturer Mylan is suing Celgene, saying it won't provide the samples, and so has directly blocked patient access to generic Revlimid and prevented savings for patients.
And I'm just learning that now, so that is just devastating to me.
Devastating because?
You know, sick people should not have to increase the profits of these huge drug corporations. At some point, there needs to be understanding that people should be able to have the drugs that they need to survive.
Celgene had no comment about Mylan's lawsuit, but in court filings called it pointless. The company also sent us a brochure saying it's willing to make Revlimid and other drugs available to generic manufacturers, that it consistently offers and has sold samples for what's called bioequivalence testing. So what do other drug companies have to say?
Let's look at the facts.
Lori Riley with the industry's lobbying group Pharma told us the system is working.
90% of all medicines are generic, over 1,000 new ones approved just last year, the highest of anywhere in the world, and over $100 billion worth of new medicines going off patent in the next 5 years. I think our system, by and large, has worked tremendously well.
You're basically saying that the games are not happening.
I'm basically saying that if, to the extent there are issues, that there are multiple opportunities and venues to address those.
She says companies invest billions to bring new medicines to market and need patents to protect those investments and to innovate.
Our companies enter into with great intent of trying to make their medicines more productive, more useful for patients and society.
Always with these strategies?
I believe so, yes.
Without exception?
Well, I certainly don't look at every single patent a company gets, but I believe our companies act with very good intent, yes.
But Pam Holt says she's decided to act too, by joining the group Patients for Affordable Drugs, using the time she has left to fight drug companies.
Make you angry?
Yes. And it's just so very irritating and so very heartbreaking that there's so little being done to help us.
AbbVie did not comment on Humira. Celgene says a generic version of Revlimid will be coming out in 2022. Pam Holt may not live that long. Her doctors say at best she may have 10 years left. Now, the company does offer a reduced payment program, but as a retired educator, Pam Holt makes too much to qualify, although not enough to avoid going more than $7,000 into debt because of the drug it's on her credit card now.
I love that Pam Holt is taking up the cause. I hope in this case doctors are wrong and that it's longer than 10 years.
She says
good for her for speaking out.
She says they've turned her into an activist.
Yeah, you can see that. Thank you, Anna.